Now for you gyro owners, let's talk about the oiling system for the little gyro. This is a common system. It's used in different variations on a lot of mopeds. It consists of a reservoir which holds a lot of, you have to use two-stroke injector oil, not the two-stroke premix oil. What the difference is, I don't know. This consists of a reservoir, a cap, a breather cap, and you can see the hole in it. It's got to have all clear holes. And on the inside, connected to this part right here, we have a very fine mesh oil strainer. They're right in here. Now usually you can just leave these things for the life of the bike and they're fine as long as you don't get any contaminants in there. And this hole right here goes the sender unit. Now the oil comes from right here and goes right down to a place near your carburetor. I'll show you that. This is the oil low signal pressure switch. It's a little ingenious device. It has a positive and a negative line on it. And these generally never wear out or anything. Mainly people don't mess with them. I like to clean everything up just to keep it cleaned up. What's down here is a little tiny hollow plastic cylinder with a foam ball or a foam slider in there. And what happens is, if you look up, I don't know how good I can do this, but there's a couple of little copper leads up in the top of this sender. When the oil is full or down to an acceptable level, this foam piece is bucked up real tight right up against the leads, and it connects them, I believe. So it's an always on switch. Now when the oil gets too low, then the foam slider slides down and breaking the connection, which sends a signal to your two wires here, which come down here, over here, over here, over here, and they come right up to about right here. And what that does is it either opens or closes the switch on your little red light right here. That's a really common type of a switch and an indicator for a reservoir that does not have a fuel meter on it, like a Dio. And when you have your oil, and I'll get over here and show you what it does. The oil goes from the reservoir, and this is a standard variation on just about every one of these. It goes from your reservoir all the way down here underneath, and it comes over here to one of these little metal stipends there and goes in. Then it comes up to your oil pump, which is right here. The oil pump has a spline that runs off of one side of the crankshaft. As the crankshaft spins, it spins the spline, which spins the little tiny pump. Now the intake, you can't see it, but the intake on the pump is over here somewhere. The outtake is, or the output is, this little tiny line right here, which goes into the carburetor. Now the faster that your crankshaft spins, the more oil is put into the carburetor. It makes sense because the faster your piston is going and the more oil it needs. But this is really kind of a, if you've ever taken it apart and watched it spill oil, little teeny tiny dots. I mean, you see this dot right there? That would be like after about 2 or 3 minutes, they give you a dot that big. It just doesn't put out any oil at all. And what we're going to do, After I get the tank reinstalled and put in new oil and the lines and everything, is I'm going to have to bleed this pump. I'm going to have to bleed all the air out of it. And it's important that you know how to do that, because if you don't, and this thing is just spinning with air and no oil gets into the engine, your engine goes tits up real quick. So if this system fails, this oiling system fails, which it usually does not, then you're in some real trouble. So we're just going to go over this. This is for gyro owners and for future generations that want to see how this works. It's really simple. Remember, Honda designs really good stuff. You're going to pay $1,000 more for a Honda than you will for a comparable scooter. But for that $1,000, you're going to get millions and millions and millions of dollars in research data that they've done over the years and put into their bikes. They've thought about everything. The tire rubber, the plastics that go into, the fuel lines, the oil lines, everything is thought out and changed when they found a weakness. That's why Honda is so good. And as you can tell, all scooters are not alike. Okay, we're going to go in and I'm going to put a bunch of these pictures on a photo bucket. I have about, I don't know, 800 pictures of the DO close-up pictures of all the work on my photo bucket account. If you want to see what the pictures look like, if you have one and you want to tear yours apart. This is just my own findings. I'm not a motorcycle mechanic. I don't have a degree in it. I'm just an experimenter, and I'm a tinker. I tinker with things. So, in between playing Dead Space 2.